I've given you this booklet as well. I'm not giving you any class time officially. If you're done your sheet early, you're welcome to work on it. But I mean, we are moving on to do this booklet. Okay, this booklet's taken under the SNAP. I just thought it'd be a good resource for you to use to practice some questions before your unit test, which is on Thursday. Okay, one thing about this booklet and the SNAP is that there are a few questions that Evan's found that aren't on our syllabus. So for example, I'm just going through this a little bit. Down here, question 10 talks about N or propyl or N-propyl or isopropyl. You don't need to know that. You do need to know primary and secondary alcohols, which is along the same genre of questions. And you should be able to exclude that this is not a propane because it's got a branch there. It's not a methyl group, right? See that stick there? That means it must be a branch. And therefore, branch of three things makes it propyl. And so it's not propane and it's not a methyl group, so therefore be one of these two. Fine, the end. Okay? Then moving on, and pardon me, if this was an OH stuck there, you should be able to tell me if it was primary and not secondary. Okay, so that's kind of two questions. Right, and then over here they give a bunch of cis and trans, which also isn't in your syllabus. It's first year university. And so you can take these questions and just sort of eliminate the cis and trans aspect, and then see if you can find the answer for the rest of it. The rest of it still applies. Okay, so basically scribble out your cis and trans and answer the rest. So like that. Same with here, that, and that. And you might come up with two answers that are the same, but that's okay as long as you can narrow it down from that. Okay? At the back of that is are the answers to the odd ones. If you would like to know if you've done an even one correctly, you'll have to come in and see me and ask me for my advice. Because that's all the SNAP booklet provides. So I'd have to make up the answers for the even one, which I can do, but I'm not going to do it if no one needs them. But if you need it, come on in and I'll give it to you. Okay? Does that make sense? All right, so there's a resource for you. The other thing that you should be doing is this, because up till now it's been very straightforward. Alkanes, properties, name them. Alkenes, properties, name them, right? Alcohol, right? So therefore, and even your quizzes have been a little bit overlapping, but pretty straightforward. And where students make a mistake, where they mess up on the unit test, is because it's all of a sudden the first time you see everything at the same time. And it's very easy to get concepts like catalytic cracking. Let's see if it'll let me draw. Catalytic cracking versus catalytic reforming versus formation versus reforming. See how all those are, wow, really similar? A little bit like I told you, electrolytic cells, electrolysis, electrochemistry, all is going to get muddled up for you on the unit test. Remember how I said that? And for some of you that did happen. These are the concepts that get muddled up. So if you could make a list and separate what's different about these things, then you're not going to make a mistake. Does that make sense? And by the way, something I should point out, because of the quiz that you just wrote, you never, ever, 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 ever put a catalyst in your reaction. The whole point of catalyst is it remains unchanged, right? So you can't put blah, blah, blah plus a made-up catalyst gives you products. It won't be there. You can write it above the arrow, right? Above the arrow we write catalyst, but it never happens in your overall reaction. Okay? So catalytic cracking, catalytic reforming, reformation, and reforming in general.
Can you go through the process right now?
Sure, catalytic cracking is taking a long alkane and chopping it up. And so you get a short alkane and a alkene. So that's your normal cracking. Everybody okay with that? So alkane goes to alkane and an alkene, whereas this is short and this is long. Catalytic reforming pardon me, is almost the same, except you take a long, a long alkane, and it's in the presence of hydrogen. So still heat catalyst like the other one, but in the presence of hydrogen, I don't form my alkene anymore. I form two shorter alkanes that aren't necessarily the same. So again, if I crack a 10 carbon long thing, I can get an 8 and a 2, but now my one will be an alkene, they're both alkanes. Reformation is taking like two alkanes and making them come together into a long alkane, and hydrogen is produced. So that's, wait a minute, that's reforming. That's reforming. Formation. What was I thinking about formation? Oh, sorry. Formation is there, where you take such as carbon and hydrogen, and I make C6H12, let's say. And then that would mean I need 6 of these and 6 of these. Remember that from Unit 1? Formation reaction, element plus element yields compound?
Oh, so it's just like the basic one.
Yeah.
It's not the alkene.
Which, of course, I wouldn't ask you that on this unit test, but certainly on the final, it's going to be on there. Pardon me?
So it's not what you just wrote the alkene.
That's reforming. Alkane, of two alkanes coming together to form a long alkane, and the hydrogen is reforming. It's the opposite of catalytic reforming. Catalytic. No, I'm getting more confused in my head. Okay, so what other comparisons could you do? What other words do you get mixed up? What other words do you get mixed up? Pardon? Elimination versus... You're going to go over these on your own, but I'm happy to write a list for you. Elimination versus what? Do you mix up with elimination? I don't know, you told me. Maybe a good activity to do would be to take elimination reactions and show me all the different kinds of elimination reactions we've had. Sometimes we've had water forming, sometimes we've had HCl forming, sometimes we've had Cl2 forming as a product. And can you create a question in which this is produced, in which this is produced, in which this is produced? And then if you can create the question, then you kind of tease out the differences between all of them and actually that they're all elimination. And then you get the understanding of what an elimination actually is. How about words like aliphatic, aromatic, hydrocarbon, hydrocarbon derivative, saturated, unsaturated. An example and a definition. Skeletal diagrams. Right? Not messing those up. Okay? Those are what you want to do to prepare for your test. Once you've learned, this is what a substitution reaction is. This is what esterification is. Then you branch into this so that you don't make the mistakes mixing them up. You just sit down. Just sit down. Just sit down. Okay? Happy? Got it? Everybody ready for your test on Thursday? Okay. Okay, that's the end of organic. All right. So, Unit 4.